That night, my daughter Emily told me I should let her help manage my life savings. The next morning, $180,000 was gone from my account. On the table, there was only a note. "Trust me, Dad. It's for your future." I didn't know what was happening, but something felt deeply wrong. But before I tell you what really happened next, hit subscribe and let me know where you're listening from. I still remember that morning, sunlight pouring through the small window of my little house in Chicago. I've lived there for over 30 years. The house Helen, my ex-wife, and I once painted by hand, where we planted every flower bed out front together. Now it's just me, and the old coffee machine making that familiar sound every morning, reminding me another day has begun. I turned on my computer to check my bank account, a habit I've kept for years. But this time, the numbers on the screen stopped my heart. My balance was only $172. I clicked again and again, thinking maybe the site was glitching. No, it wasn't. I opened the transaction history. A transfer had gone through at 2:17 a.m., all $180,000 sent to an account named Unveils Capital, LLC. I didn't know what that was. All I knew, everything I'd saved from decades of engineering work, the overtime, the projects, the long nights, was gone. I grabbed my phone and called Emily. Her voice was calm. "Yeah, Dad, I moved it. Don't worry, I'm investing it for you. Big returns." I asked, "What gives you the right to do that?" She paused, then said softly, almost coldly, "You don't understand, Dad. These days money shouldn't just sit in the bank. I'm helping you." I wanted to yell, but her voice, confident, rational, it reminded me of her mother. "You think you can just do that? Without even asking me, Dad? I just want to help. Please don't make this a big deal." Those words hit me hard. I'd taught her everything, held her hand to school, told her trust is the foundation of every relationship, and now that very trust had been used against me. That afternoon, I went to the bank. The teller confirmed the transfer came from my own online account. "Someone logged in from a new device," she said. I knew it was Emily. She was the only one who knew my password. I'd asked her to check something for me months ago. When I got home, I opened the drawer where I kept my papers. Empty. Insurance documents, savings certificates, even the house deed all gone. It felt like someone had just erased my past. In the middle of the kitchen table lay a note scribbled in blue ink. "Trust me, Dad. It's for your future." I stared at those words. They sounded loving, but felt like an order, as if I were just a piece in my own daughter's plan. That night I couldn't sleep. The sound of cars outside, the ticking clock, it all felt like a countdown. I kept asking myself, what was she doing with that money? Was she being scammed or hiding something from me? The next morning I went to Emily's apartment. She lived in a high-end place on Michigan Avenue, the kind I could never afford even when I was working. I rang the bell. No answer. I knocked harder. The door swung open unlocked. Inside, the place was almost empty. Most of the furniture was gone. On the dining table sat a thick envelope. Inside, a printed copy of an investment contract with Unveils Capital, with my electronic signature. I had never signed anything. Right then my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Stop looking, Mr. Ray. You don't want to know who you're dealing with." I gripped the phone. My hands were cold. This wasn't just between me and my daughter anymore. Something bigger, darker, was happening. I stepped out onto the balcony, looking down at the busy street below, young people like Emily chasing something they call success. And I realized I no longer understood my daughter's world. But one thing was clear. I had to do something, not to get the money back, but to find the truth. I couldn't just sit still after that message. The next morning, I gathered every bank document I had and drove to see an old friend, Jack Miller. Jack used to be with the FBI, now retired like me. He once helped me out during a contract dispute years ago. When I told him what happened, he just sat there for a long moment, quiet. then said softly, "Tom, if someone can make all your money disappear overnight, it's not just your daughter. Someone else is behind this." His words poured fuel on the fire already burning inside me. I didn't want to believe Emily was involved in anything shady, but the signs were getting harder to ignore. Jack helped me trace the money. After hours of searching, he frowned at the screen. Unveils Capital doesn't exist in any legal database. It's registered in Delaware, with a P.O. box as its office address. I asked, "What does that mean?" "It means it could be a shell company, a front. Someone's using it to launder money." The ground felt like it disappeared beneath me. I'd lost my savings, but now I was afraid my daughter might be in danger. That night I tried calling her again. The phone rang, but no answer. I sent dozens of texts, nothing. I even drove to her office, the investment firm where she worked as a finance manager. The receptionist gave me a polite smile and said quietly, "I'm sorry, Mr. Carter. Emily's been on leave for 2 weeks. She didn't leave any contact info. On leave. Without telling anyone, nobody knew where she was. Something was very wrong." I drove home in the rain. Streetlights shimmered on the windshield like smudged memories. I remembered when Emily was little, how she used to be terrified of thunder running to me every time it stormed. And now, I had no idea where she was, or if she was out there scared, just like back then. When I got home, there was a brown envelope waiting at my door. No return address. Inside a copy of my life insurance policy. But the beneficiary had been changed to Emily Carter. I froze. That policy was worth $500,000, and I had never signed any change. At the bottom of the page, scrawled in black ink, were the words, "Everything is under control." My heart pounded. This wasn't about stolen money anymore. This was a plan calculated, deliberate, and I was the target. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. All night I sat by the window watching the headlights drift through the rain. Memories of Emily kept flashing in my mind: her 16th birthday, her college graduation, the day I signed the deed so she could buy her first apartment. Everything I ever did was for her. And now it had all turned into a nightmare. One question echoed in my head. Why, the next morning, I went to the insurance office to confirm the policy. The clerk checked the system, then frowned. "Mr. Ray, the request to change the beneficiary came from your official email, with a scanned signature attached." I gave a bitter laugh. "I didn't send that. And that's not my signature." She looked at me with sympathy. "I'm sorry, sir. We can't reverse the change without a court order." I left the office, my mind spinning. I knew Emily was good with tech, but forging her father's identity to transfer assets, that was beyond anything I could imagine. Unless someone was forcing her. That night I opened an old hard drive I hadn't touched in years. Inside a folder labeled Family, I found an audio file named Emily Confession Dem4A. I'd never seen it before. My hands trembled as I hit play. Her voice came through, trembling, broken. "Dad, if you're hearing this, I'm sorry. I didn't have a choice. They know everything about me, about the company, about the money. I just wanted to protect you. Please, don't look for me." Then silence. I just sat there. The anger, the suspicion, the fear, it all faded, leaving only one thing: worry. My daughter wasn't a traitor. She was trapped in something far worse. I looked at the old photo of us on the beach years ago. I didn't know where to start, but I knew one thing for sure: I was going to find the truth, no matter what it took. I listened to that recording 3 more times. Each replay cut straight to my chest. Emily's voice shaking, pleading, terrified. I had been wrong. Completely wrong. She didn't betray me. She was being threatened. The next morning I went to see Jack. He booted his laptop and ran a few tracing scripts. Minutes later, a map lit up on the screen, dozens of arrows from small accounts, all funneling into one place: Unveils Capital. "This isn't an investment firm," Tom Jack said, eyes locked on the display. "This is a shell, part of an international money laundering ring." I felt like I'd stepped into a movie I never wanted to star in. And my daughter. Is she part of it? I asked. Jack nodded slowly. Her name shows up in some transfers, but I don't think she's the mastermind. I think she's being used. My chest tightened. I thought of the new boyfriend she'd mentioned, Daniel Brooks, a young VC type. I'd never met him, but from what Emily said, he sounded flawless. Too flawless. I asked Jack to dig into the name. Less than an hour later, he looked up cold. Daniel Brooks was investigated in 2021 for financial fraud. Cleared no charges, no proof. My hands gripped the chair. So, he's using Emily, I said. Maybe. Or she might have evidence against him. Jack answered. That afternoon, an anonymous email landed in my inbox. Subject line, for your eyes only. Attached a single file, videoproof.movie. I opened it. The footage showed Emily in a sleek office captured by a security camera. She was arguing with Daniel. You said it was legal, she shouted. It is, if you keep quiet, he said, cold and threatening. I transferred my father's money because I trusted you, and that's exactly why you're useful, Emily. The word useful crawled under my skin. The clip ended as Daniel grabbed her arm. The image shook, then cut out. I sat frozen. My hands trembled. Jack was quiet for a moment, then whispered, Tom, this is it. He's manipulating your daughter. If we're careful, we can flip this. A clearer head returned to me. I wasn't just a betrayed father anymore. I was a father who would fight. Jack, I said I need to get her out. Not for the money, for her. First step, trace the email's IP. It led to a cafe on the outskirts of Chicago. We went that evening. The owner remembered a young woman, blonde hair, gray coat, who'd been there a few times, always anxious, always looking over her shoulder. One time I heard her say on the phone, Dad, I'm sorry, he told us. My throat closed. Emily had been close. I had been so near, and I hadn't known. Back in the car, Jack slid an envelope across the dash. I've got a contact at the Financial Crimes Unit, he said. They'll help, but you must be careful. Don't contact Emily directly. Calls can be monitored. Rain started to fall soft at first, then harder. Pain, fear, and a fierce determination swelled inside me. If she was trapped, I would pull her out even if I had to take on the whole world. That night I watched the video again. When Emily's image went dark, I noticed something. I'd missed a reflection in the glass behind her. A logo, Harrison Tower. A high-end office building downtown. I smiled once, a small, grim smile. Emily, I whispered, I know where you are. I put on my old coat. For the first time in weeks, fear loosened its grip. To save my daughter, I'd have to play by their rules. I was standing in front of Harrison Tower at exactly 8 the next morning. The sky over Chicago was the color of lead, and the cold wind whipped against the glass walls of the building. I looked up at that familiar logo, the same one reflected in the video of Emily. This was it, where all the secrets began. Jack parked a block away. Through the rearview mirror, he said quietly, Tom, say the word and I'll call my contacts at the bureau. But if you're planning to walk in there alone... I smiled. I just want to see my daughter Jack. The rest, I've got a plan. I passed the security gate using an old ID card still in the system from years back when I helped design the building's engineering systems. The guard nodded me through, no questions asked. Floor 27, Nova Rise Capital. The door was ajar. Inside, rows of empty desks. And one man standing with his back to me. A smooth voice filled the room. I knew you'd come, Mr. Ray. Daniel Brooks. He turned around with that half-smile, calm, confident, and cold. You have a remarkable daughter, he said, pouring coffee. Smart, loyal, a little fragile. But I think we can reach an agreement. I looked around. No sign of Emily. Where is she? I asked. She's safe, as long as you cooperate. He slid a thin folder across the table, transfer papers for my house bank authorizations, every page forged with my signature. Sign them again, he said, and this all goes away quietly. I didn't move. Then slowly I sat down, keeping my tone calm. You know, Daniel, I helped design this building's security system, And right now I've reactivated the cameras on this floor. Everything you're saying is being streamed live to the Financial Crimes Bureau. His smile froze. Are you threatening me? I don't need to, I said. I just need to give them a few more minutes to get here. He reached for his phone, but before he could dial, the door burst open. Emily stood there, eyes red, voice trembling. Daniel, stop. They know everything. He spun around. What did you do? I sent the video to Dad, she said, looking straight at me. I couldn't take it anymore. I'm sorry. The room went still. Daniel's expression changed, slow, deliberate, like a cornered predator. You're both idiots, he hissed and lunged at me. Instinct took over. I grabbed the coffee pot and threw it at him, scalding liquid splashing across his face. He screamed, stumbled back just as the door burst open again. Hands up, FBI Jack and 2 agents stormed in. In seconds, Daniel was pinned to the table, cuffed and shouting. Emily collapsed to the floor, tears streaming down her face. I went to her, put a hand on her shoulder. She looked up at me, shaking. Dad, I'm sorry. I didn't know what they'd do. I just wanted to protect you. I shook my head gently. No, Emily. I'm the one who should be sorry for letting you fight alone. The FBI seized everything, files, laptops, hard drives, all proof that Novarise was part of a global laundering network. Daniel was just one link in a much bigger chain. As they led him away, he looked back at me, voice hoarse. You won, old man. But remember this, the truth is never just one thing. His words sent a chill down my spine. But I knew my fight was over. I turned to Jack, thanked him with a look. He smiled faintly. Told you, Tom, you're still the smartest engineer I know. On the way out, Emily held my hand tight. For the first time in years, I felt it tremble, just like when she was little. Outside, light snow began to fall. I looked at her, no fear in her eyes now, just relief, and a quiet kind of regret. I whispered, We'll be okay, sweetheart. It's over now. She smiled weakly. Dad, you didn't just save me. You saved my whole life. I squeezed her hand, watching the afternoon light shimmer across the building's glass like a promise. But I didn't know then. Another secret was waiting. Something Daniel said wasn't just talk. A few days later, when I turned on my computer, I found an unread email. It was sent from Emily's address on the very night Daniel was arrested. And what it said kept me standing there frozen for hours. I sat there for hours staring at that email. The sender, Emily Carter. Time 11:48 p.m. The same night the FBI raided Daniel's office. The subject line read only 3 words. I'm sorry, Dad. I clicked it open. Inside was a short message, no greeting, no long explanation, just a few shaky lines typed in a hurry. If you're reading this, Dad, it means I did the right thing. I know they'll investigate every account, so I moved what was left of the money into an anonymous trust under your name. The police will find it. But more importantly, I want you to know I never did this for money. I just didn't want to lose you. I love you, and if I have to disappear for a while, please don't look for me. Live the way you taught me to. I read it again and again. Every word cut deep, but somehow it healed me too. Emily hadn't run away. She'd sacrificed her freedom to protect me and to protect our family's name. 3 days later, the FBI confirmed it. Thanks to the data Emily sent before she vanished, they dismantled the entire Novarise operation. Daniel and everyone behind it were indicted. Emily, though, no one knew where she was. They said she was under witness protection. But to me, that didn't matter. What mattered was my daughter was alive. I sold our old house in Chicago and bought a small one near Lake Michigan. Every morning I make coffee and watch the calm water, gulls gliding low before disappearing into the light. Everything feels peaceful now. Some nights I still play that old recording, her trembling voice saying, Dad, if you're hearing this, I'm sorry, but it doesn't hurt anymore. Now I just feel proud. My little girl who once feared thunder, who used to clutch my hand when the storm rolled in. She'd grown brave enough to face a storm that could have destroyed her. One winter morning, a small package arrived at my door. No sender's name, just a note on the envelope. "Don't worry, Dad." Inside was a wooden photo frame, a picture of us on the beach years ago. At the bottom, carved by hand, were the words, "You didn't lose your money, Dad. You saved me instead." I sat there quietly, tears falling before I even realized it. There are some losses you can't measure in dollars, and some things you think you've lost that were really gifts in disguise. That day I began writing this whole story down, not to blame anyone, but to remind myself that real love doesn't control, it trusts. I sent the first draft to a small magazine. Months later, they published it. The article spread everywhere. People wrote to me saying they saw themselves in it, fathers, mothers, sons, daughters, all once hurt by love, misunderstood. Now every morning I open my YouTube channel and talk about what I've learned, about how fear can make us lose each other, and how love isn't about holding on, it's about believing. I'm not a great storyteller, but I speak the truth. If you're listening right now, I always end my videos. Don't wait until it's too late to realize your family just needed you to trust them a little more. And if this story touched you, hit like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments, because sometimes one story can save a soul. I look out the window as sunlight glitters across the lake, and I know, somewhere out there, my daughter is watching the sunrise too. My story ends here, not in anger, not in loss, but in faith. Because no matter how much the world changes, some bonds can never be broken. The bond between a father and his child. Thank you for listening.